Hello, everyone, and welcome. We'll give it a couple minutes for everyone to join, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll give it another minute or two, and then we'll get started today. Hello to everyone who's joined so far. We'll give it about another 30 seconds, and we'll start on the fireside chat. Thank you. So hello, everyone, and welcome to our UiPath Fireside Chat. Our topic today, transforming operations with MongoDB's enterprise automation strategy, real-world success stories, and key outcomes. Now, as we get started, a few things to note. This session will be recorded, and you will receive a copy of the recording within 24 hours of this webinar concluding. This session is an hour long, with the last 15 minutes designated for open Q&A. So if you have any questions, please utilize the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen to ask any questions you may have. If there's not enough time to answer all of the questions, we will include our panelists' answers in the follow-up email. Now, without any further ado, I'll hand it over to our moderator today, UiPath Director of Client Success, Chirag Kalani.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for the warm introduction and overview of the Fireside Chat today. A brief introduction on myself. Chirag Kalani, Director of Client Success at UiPath. I lead our digital strategy and have been at UiPath for more than 6 years now and in the industry for more than 18 years. So today we have a fantastic panel, a MongoDB team, as well as we have a partner joining us, which is unusual because normally we invite our customers, but at the same time, if you see the great partnership that Ladonia and MongoDB is having, that's why we call in our partners on the call today as well. We'll go with a quick round of introduction. I'll start with Devika, and we'll just, once we have the introduction, we'll just jump right into our fireside chat. Devika, do you want to kick it off?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I am Devika Saharia. I am the Director of ERP and RPA Technologies here at Mongo. I have been with Mongo for close to 5 years and been in the industry for close to 16 years now.
Awesome. Patrick?
Sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick Wiley. I'm one of the senior devs here at MongoDB. Been with the company now just over 4 years and been in the space for a little over 8 years. So been in it a while now. So I will hand things over to Shobit.
Thank you, Patrick. Hello, everyone who is joining us live for this webinar. My name is Shobit Bhatani. I'm based out of New Delhi, India. I come with 10 years of IT experience, and I've been working with MongoDB for the past 2.5 years, and currently working as a senior manager. And in my role, I lead the RP Dev team, oversee project deliveries, and work very closely with our stakeholders to identify and implement automation opportunities. Thank you.
Todd?
Thanks, Chirag. Todd Foley, I'm Lydonia's Chief Digital and Information Security Officer, both a MongoDB partner and UiPath partner. And Lydonia has been focused in this space for about 5 years now and working with Mongo for a couple.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, all of you. Let's just jump right into it. Could you provide an overview of the origins of your automation program and evolution to its current state today?
Absolutely, sure. So our automation journey started almost about 4.5 years ago when MongoDB was exploring, options because there was this big theme out there, which was barriers to scale. And at that time, we had only heard about RPA. We had no idea what RPA looks like. And we wanted to, gain deeper understanding of the technology. And what we decided was that the best way to do that is to do a POC. So we basically ran through a large POC, but the POC was done. Even before POC, we also did RFP process where we looked at different vendors, different technologies to vet what suits our needs. And after carefully vetting, we shortlisted UiPath and did, as I said, we did a POC with a finance team. Finance usually comes out to be, the usual suspect because we all know that there is a lot of manual, intervention even after having the most sophisticated systems out there. And a lot of manual tasks. So at that time, we shortlisted a process called revenue write-up. And in that process, manually, people were taking up to 7 days. And we shortlisted that process and made it to almost 3 hours. So that was a big, big victory for us because the results were outstanding. And since then, there is no looking back. I also want to highlight, the pivotal role of Lydonia here because they helped us in advancing in, our growth journey, especially with their Reignite and Propel, programs that helped us in our scaling process. And since then, we have explored various opportunities of improvement, implementing a discovery model, building a pipeline of automation ideas, conducting roadshows across the organization, also, adding controls at different layers, performing code checks, reviews, and fostering a culture of knowledge sharing to ensure that, the entire team is growing while we are growing in this automation program. And I would say thank you to the Lydonia team for, always keeping us honest and helping us building the center of automation, as they say.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think this team has done remarkable work, and their program is by any measure best in class. It's worth noting that when we first engaged with them, they were also already a successful automation program by almost any metric. And the work we did with them was really focused, as it is with our clients, on not just getting value from automation, but driving significant transformative value within an organization at scale. And I can't think of a better partner to work with than MongoDB around being able to do that. They were already a very mature program, great people, and in collaborating with them as we do in our engagements, we were able to start talking about longer term plans and potential roadblocks and things. And it's just a tribute to this team that not only did they engage looking to do that, but they've executed on it exceptionally well with significant impact to the business.
Wow, that's a fantastic story, and 7 days coming down to 3 hours. I think that's quite a lot of transformation right there, and for you. And no, that's a great story, and I think people would love to hear more about it. Patrick, I will take this to you, and if since you are on a dev team and you lead the dev team at MongoDB, can you talk about which processes have had the most impact in on your organization right now, and what ways they have transformed your operations today?
For sure. Thank you, Chirag. We could spend almost an entire fireside chat probably talking about the over 100 processes that we've automated here. So in our current time period, we're going to cut it down to 4 that we've kind of automated in the last year that have delivered high impact. As Devika mentioned, we started in finance. So as we go through these processes, we'll start with the finance process. The first process here is the multi-state tax process for our payroll team. So recent California and New York tax laws require that we have to report on individuals if they work over a certain number of days in those states. Our payroll team was faced with the task of having to go into various managers, directors, VPs, leadership, et cetera, their Google calendars and identifying which days they worked in what state, and then putting that into a report, compiling how much they owed in taxes, et cetera. Extremely daunting, was going to take the team months to try and put that together. Instead, we got the bot, implemented it, and it saved the team hundreds of hours as the bot was able to go, compile that data, put it into a report, and not only have the upfront impact of saving the team the time putting the report together, but also the downstream impact of, because the bot did it, there was no accidental mistypes or anything in terms of those numbers. So we hit the compliance guidelines, and we didn't have to spend additional time downstream fixing any errors that popped up in that tax data. From that process, there was also our sales team, where we've had a large impact. One of the largest ones last year was with their OSM tool. So OSM, for anyone who's not familiar, is a operational sales management tool. This helps sales organizations handle quotas, maintain transparency, territory changes, stuff like that. And what our team found was, with their existing tool, while it could do a lot, there was bridges and with the capabilities that they had to perform manually because the tool couldn't perform it. And they were spending dozens of hours a week across multiple personnel performing these tasks in order to get the metrics and data and reports that they wanted. So we met with them and compiled 5 different automations that we built as a suite to enhance the OSM platform and save the team dozens of hours. And now what the team is able to do with that time is not only get time back in their day, but the time back in their day is then spent doing analysis as well as other more value-added tasks instead of just putting the data together itself. One thing also I would like to highlight, Devika mentioned Ladonia has been a fantastic partner. With the Propel initiative, we were able to get into the GRC team and start building stuff for them. So 2 high impact processes that we were able to get to, thanks to those efforts with Ladonia, is one is our graphite vendor risk process. With the graphite vendor risk process, we have to reach out to both new vendors and old vendors and send out questionnaires that help us analyze the risk for those vendors. This is not only cumbersome from sending out the information, but getting the information back, checking up with them, and then updating graphite from there. So multiple members of our GRC team, and our GRC team isn't that large. We're having to dedicate a large chunk of time to performing that operation and just that operation. So we introduced the bot to instead go in and basically handle that entire operation end to end of sending out, checking up, getting the information back, and then reporting back. So this has freed up a lot of time on the GRC team, which is great. Compliance is now where we want it to be. And again, that's a process that we got through the Propel initiative. The last process that I'll quickly touch on is our training notifications. This is a very large scale process, as I'm sure a large number of people who have joined this call are familiar with yearly trainings that a company has to perform, and we have to be compliant to make sure everyone completes the training. So you can imagine if we have a 10,000 person company, we have to go out and make sure that all 10,000 people are completing their trainings. And what happened here is what the team was faced with is the first 3 levels of escalation, the system can handle it. But after that, they were looking to send out individualized, customized messages and escalations to both people and their managers' managers. Well, they were looking at doing that in Slack and email. And if you can imagine, we hit only, let's say, 50% compliance on that 10,000 company. We're looking at 5,000 individual Slack messages and emails that have to be sent out, something that the team found impossible to do, and they didn't have a way out. We introduced the bot into this situation, and the bot is able to compile all that information, create the customized messages, and then send everything out much more quickly within a single day for each escalation level, which has helped the team massively. I think before we introduced the bot, the team was hitting their final escalation and only having 60, 70% compliance maybe. With the bot introduced, after our 4th escalation is sent out, we're hitting 90 to 95% compliance, which is massive. And that kind of ties into the main 3 points that we see across the various automations that we've built. The first being that across the organization, we've saved thousands of hours. I think we compiled all the automations that ran last year and we got over 100,000 hours. If we had to hire people to do that, that'd be about 48 people we'd have to hire to perform the same task that these bots are doing. And as I kind of hit with a couple of these processes, it's not just the time savings, but the efficiency gains as well. Typos, misentering data, stuff like that can have downstream impact and also loses trust with certain teams. So being able to introduce the bot and kind of get rid of those issues has increased confidence across the organization and also with our outside stakeholders. Lastly, you can't underestimate the human factor. The Slack notifications is a great example of that, where we were talking about sending thousands upon thousands of Slack messages. No one wants to do that. No one wants to log in and have 2,000 Slack messages they have to send out for the day. So having a bot come in, perform that has greatly increased morale across the various teams that we've automated for. So that's just a snapshot. We could spend more time talking about more processes, but
no, I think we might have to do like a separate Fireside just with you to make sure we cover all the different areas. But these are fantastic stories and use cases that you talked about. And I think, as you said, it's not just about FTE savings anymore. It's about what are the intangibles that you have, what are the compliance rate that you get, and overall increasing the efficiency of organization. And 48 people that you would need to hire just sort of like doing all this manual work. I think that tells the importance of automation program at each and every company that you guys are representing. That's fantastic. Sure.
I think too that Patrick spoke to something that I think is something we see in the best automation programs, which is an appreciative internal audience, right? I think the fact that this team has been able to be seen internally as a group that helps them, that can help improve quality of work, quality of life in an impactful way. There's an element to that continues to drive their success, in addition to the real financial returns, the risk and security benefits, not just from cost reduction, but also from things like the tax reporting for states, actual dollars in cost avoidance from tax penalties. I think it's that combination of things that's really remarkable. And the fact that they have internal business users who appreciate them can't be overstated in its importance.
Absolutely. No, those are some really great point thoughts. And I think it's phenomenal. I think how MongoDB and Ladonia has partnered in this ways. And I think bringing back all these efficiencies back to the business, making sure that new processes are much more compliant. And I think it's a fantastic story for sure. Shobit, I want to bring this next questions to you. I think about what challenges did you encounter and what are the strategies that you employ to effectively address and overcome them in your automation program at MongoDB?
For sure. So Chirag, as Devika mentioned in the beginning, that it's been 4.5 years that we have started our RPA journey at MongoDB. And on the way, we have encountered multiple challenges, and each step of the way has been a learning experience for us. And I'd like to share a few insights from when I joined 2.5 years ago. Our team consisted of just 3 developers, including me, and each one of us were wearing multiple hats. We were acting as business system analysts, be it architects, developers, project managers, and whatnot. So we saw a tremendous potential for automation, but the challenge, the first that hit us was the limited team size, the small team size that we had. So to address this, the first thing that we did was open up new roles. We started hiring for specific roles like BSAs and more developers. And currently, our team is of 14 people, and where we have 4 BSAs, 7 developers, and also a technical program manager. So we addressed our first challenge this way, and with this expanded team, our next challenge quickly emerged, wherein there was a need for standardization across our entire team. So the first thing was to standardize our documentation. So we went back and reviewed all our documentation in place, be it our PDDs, SDDs, user guides, and we worked together, we collaborated, and we redesigned all of them to have a fixed standard format, because these documents are not only used to develop the automation, but they'll be used later on as well, when we will be providing support and maintenance. So with a strong development team in place, we collaborated and we built our own custom coding standards and best practices to enhance our code quality. And this is how we have reached good scalability as well. And with the team growth, we realized the importance of implementing more stringent internal reviews. And for every RPA phase that we have introduced a checkpoint wherein we'll first review internally all the deliverables that are to be delivered to our stakeholders to make sure that we are delivering high quality standards. And thanks to our rigorous and development standards, we achieved quality deployments. However, I mean, again, with a larger team and increasing number of automations quarter by quarter, it's not only we have to develop new automations, but also with every quarter, we have to maintain new automations as well, which quickly turned into a challenge wherein we had to start thinking of um, designing our own support model and strengthening our production support. So we implemented a support model and also an internal roster, which we used to rotate developers providing support every 2 weeks. And with this, we were able to provide quality support, and we are able to handle our support tickets and problem tickets, which we get. And we have aligned all of these tickets with specific SLAs to meet the business needs. And recently, I mean, by the end of Q4 last year, right? So we encountered more challenges with respect to delays in identifying RP opportunities. So this issue, I would say, had 2 main reasons behind it. So first one is there was still a need for expanding the RP awareness across the company. So to address this, first thing that we did was to have a short internal RPA introductory course at our L&D platform, which we are internally, we as a RPA team developed it and published it onto the platform. And we promoted this course at each and every avenue where we got that opportunity, be it our RPA roadshows and also the citizen development training sessions that we used to take. And this has helped us market RPA across different departments at the company. To talk about the second reason for the delay was the need for faster decisions, to take faster decisions whether to automate this process or not, right? So to solve this, we set up a discovery model internally, and which would include 30 minutes quick sessions with the stakeholders to identify, to understand the process at a very high level. We have a set questionnaires to help us to come up with a decision that whether there's a good candidate for automation or not. And our BSAs specifically lead these discussions with the stakeholders, and based on their assessment, they would put these automations for review with the leadership. And this has made our lives way easier because with these quick discovery sessions, we were able to take faster decisions and realize RPA benefits even quicker. And As of now, internally, we are now focusing on increasing our or strengthening our security towards accessing UiPath as a platform. So we are working closely with the security team to implement Okta SSO, and there are internal initiatives that we're working towards to strengthen our security measures with UiPath.
No, these are some fabulous best practices. So I think when I go and talk to customers, I actually might have talked to thousands of UiPath customers, if not hundreds of UiPath customers, if not thousands. I always tell them to say, like, hey, you start with journey. You can have like a little bit scrappy at the beginning, but as and when you grow your programs, you need to make sure that you're incorporating all these best practices. And especially in terms of how you are delivering your automation. Time and again, what I have seen in the industry as well, like, hey, my bots are not working. And basically sometimes they feel like, hey, the technology doesn't work or otherwise. But generally, when you build your processes from end to end in terms of discovery to production, entire RDLT cycle, I think it's very, very important for everyone who is working towards your automation program needs to have those best practices as they mature. So, and everybody plays with, like, I think you nailed it on the head. It's perfectly fine for you to, when you start your program, to have multiple different hats. But if you want to grow your program, if you want to make sure your program have like an enterprise-wide footprint, you definitely have to have these best practices involved, both on process discovery side as well as the development support side as well. So far, we discussed on where MongoDB is today in terms of the automation program. I would like to talk about future and want to know what MongoDB's future plans and goal for automation team. Generative AI has been the biggest word and kind of technology that everybody wants to incorporate. Are you considering integrating Gen AI technologies into your initiative and your strategic plan? Patrick, for this, maybe you can kick it off and maybe we can go around the table for this one.
Yeah, from the developer's perspective, Gen AI, machine learning, AI in general, massive forefront right now for our team. RPA was brought in to help with legacy platforms, and our mentality is if we don't adopt these and keep updating our systems, then we ourselves will become a legacy system, right? And that's not what we want. We want to make sure we're constantly adapting to what is in the industry. This not only helps us save time with automations in the future, especially with AI, but also allows new opportunities to pop up and find new areas for potential automation. So making sure that developers such as myself and other developers on the team are equipped to build with Gen AI, identify good use cases with Gen AI and AI and machine learning and stuff like that, critical, as well as additional technologies and new elements that UiPath adds to their platform. Integration services, great example of that, something that was added in the last year or two that our team has quickly tried to ramp up to help scale our automations. And then last point I would add also, if we're looking in the next 2 to 3, 5 to 10 year gap, just again, highlighting what Shobit said, growing our team in the right areas, identifying where our weak points are and getting the right personnel to help kind of bridge those gaps there.
That's great. Devika, same question to you, but well, from the CEO lead point of view, what do you see future plans for MongoDB and within Gen AI?
Yeah. So from my perspective, I always look at themes, and there are 2 themes that I see. One is consistency and one is growth. So on consistency front, it's important that we ensure that our pipeline is healthy. We are educating folks on RPA. We are empowering them to become self-sufficient through citizen development and all those kind of things that consist of the usual RPA life cycle. From the growth standpoint, there are numerous opportunities out there. We can integrate AI into our toolkit. We can also enhance the use of document understanding. We've already begun, exploring AI-related initiatives and completed a few proof of concepts to demonstrate the potential of AI with RPA. I believe in the next few years, we would be focusing on scaling the business by harnessing the power of AI and RPA together.
That's fantastic. Shobit, from the development point of view, I know you focus on best practices in terms of how do you do this in terms of how do you go to the next level of Gen AI? What are the things that you are doing which leads a developer to kind of embrace this new technology and kind of where you see it going?
Yeah. So GenAI is already a significant focus at MongoDB. I mean, with numerous internal initiatives that are being driven by different teams at MongoDB. To top it off, I mean, we also had an internal GenAI hackathon last year where multiple teams across the company had participated, and we had real fun understanding the different use cases that we can achieve using GenAI. And as of now, I mean, MongoDB is at the forefront of enabling companies to become GenAI ready by offering a flexible and scalable database platform that meets the data needs for different companies and for the AI applications. And currently, as Devika has said, right, that we are working on a few GenAI POCs coupled with RPA powers. We are trying to evaluate how best we can leverage the power of both the worlds.
That's awesome. Ted, what do you see in the industry today?
Yeah, I think, Shobit called out something I think it's important to understand. MongoDB themselves is a leader in the Gen AI space and marketplace today. And their team has embraced that, right? And that culture is there. I think what we see across our clients is that the distinction between what we used to call more data science work and what we now think of as agentic AI or automation capabilities have merged, right? I think the things that we used to do without large language models have, because of them, gotten much easier. So where we used to use different approaches for unstructured data extraction or document summarization, where we used to create templates for copy generation, it's changed the game in terms of our ability to do those things much more readily. But there's recurring themes. Patrick talked about the need at MongoDB right from the get-go to be able to integrate disparate systems, right? And to be able to leverage automation platform capabilities to be a bridge there, a rapid bridge for doing integration and solving for some of those challenges. And I think we're seeing also that Gen AI capabilities, bringing them into production, is something that can be done in a very unique and positive way by leveraging the core automation platform, because the path to production becomes, well, I build it into the workflow that I'm creating with automation, and I'm using Gen AI, and I'm doing it in a secure way with guardrails around it, and I have programmatic guardrails I can build in through UiPath. It's just a perfect match. And I think what we see is that most centers of excellence these days are not separated centers of excellence, right? And as we work with our clients, we really strongly espouse the idea that, hey, don't have a data science center of excellence or an AI center of excellence, an automation center of excellence, a data and analytics center of excellence. Those things, from a business perspective, have effectively been combined in order to deliver positive business outcomes. And it's these teams that have clearly built that sustainable, consistent model for growth within the organization that are best suited to take a leadership role and drive that within the organization. And that's what this team is doing.
That's great. That's great. I think every conference I talk to, every customer I talk to, everybody wants to know more about Gen AI. Generally, UiPath offer a lot of data models and large language models that we have started investing in that as well, especially agentic AI as well. So I think every vendor out there is trying to offer what's the next solution for Gen AI and solution to the industry, which is basically going to be a common norm going forward. So I want to take our conversation to a different direction a little bit. Given our audience today, which has diverse level of experience and with their automation program, right? What advice would you offer to those who are just beginning their journey in the automation program or automation, like automation, AI, or in general? So maybe Patrick, do you want to kick this off, or it's open for everyone?
Yeah, I can go ahead and kick off. From the developer's perspective, looking at our journey here over the last 4.5 years, looking critically at that first year, especially, there are some elements there, I think, set us up for success. And then Shobha can probably highlight from this first year, then how we continued to escalate and get better and better. But that first year, I think I told Devika several times when I joined, key goal was just to get a heartbeat for our team. So output was name of the game. We needed to get bots out. We needed to get it widespread, get the word out that these bots are running and they're helping people. And then once that's up and going, then we would worry about building out and maturing the team. Main reason for that is we introduced compliance, too much maturity early on. Potentially everything gets bogged down. You don't get the output and everything kind of fizzles out. Another thing we found that was super successful in that first year was being willing to earn trust through smaller automations to get to the big stuff. This isn't saying automating stuff that has like no value, but being willing to automate a process that maybe saves 80 to 120 hours in order to get to that 1,000-hour process. We found with a lot of teams, the case was we'd introduce RPA, they wouldn't be very open to the idea. It's new, you're hearing robots, automation, it's scary to some people. But by building out a bot, earning that trust through something smaller, they would then feel comfortable coming to us with, okay, here's the process that's actually causing a massive problem for our team. And we're able to then build that out and get larger impact. Another big thing is metrics. I can't stress enough how our team has exponentially grown since we've started properly reporting metrics. When we started, I think we were in Excel spreadsheets. We were trying to calculate everything by hand. It was a mess. We got UiPath Insights and started putting everything in dashboards, reporting data in various ways, and sending that out to leadership. And that got so much buy-in, not only from our direct leadership that funds our team, but also from other teams' leaders looking at our dashboard and saying, what's going on there? How can we get involved like these teams that are already benefiting from RPA? So those are some key areas I think that were huge in our first year. But I think Shobha can probably talk about a little bit how we kept going from that, because that was just year one, I should say.
That's great. Shobha, do you want to chime on that?
Sure. Yeah. So if you're starting your journey and you're trying to automate a process, first thing that you need to do is understand the process. You should have a deep understanding of what the process is all about. And because this will actually help you identify the areas where the automation can add the most value, right? And prevents any automation inefficient workflows. And once you have identified the process, you have identified the key areas for automation, then your next step should be identifying the right tools for automation. For us, UiPath has been our choice of automation tool, and it has proven significantly successful for us. And having said that, not all automation tools are the same. Not everyone has the same capability. So evaluate your needs carefully and choose the right tool for you. Second, please be open to learning. So automation is constantly evolving, right? And up until 4 years ago, it was plain surface automation or best to best API automations that we used to do. But right now, it's the era of agentic automation, right? So as a beginner, it is essential to stay updated with the latest tools and technologies and the best practices that you can use to implement your process automations in the company. Last thing that I would like to add is test and iterate. So automation doesn't have to be perfect from the start, but test your solutions, gather feedback from your stakeholders, and continuously improve on them and align with your goals. And I think there are a couple of more points which Devika can add to this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think there are a few areas from my perspective when you're starting your automation journey. Number one, set with clear objectives, very clear that what you want to achieve, define your success metrics, what you're looking for, and start identifying use cases. Some could be high impact, some could be low impact, but you should not feel disheartened if you're getting low impact, because that is like a stepping stone for larger impact automations. So don't look for 1,000-hour saving automation on day one. It could be a smaller automation, but you're opening doors. Second is pipeline management. Talk to teams, evangelize RPA, build roadshows, try to talk to leadership, have presentations, very typical presentations for your leadership, typical presentation for different type of audience. Like you should have a different type of presentations ready all the time. And last, to keep your pipeline healthy from a pipeline management perspective. The third is start small and scale fast. Because when you start small, you can do POCs, you can gain trust of your stakeholders, and based off of that, you can quickly begin your journey. Fourth is focus on governance and security eventually. Fifth, ensure continuous improvement and feedback. I believe without feedback, we can never be successful, and we should always be open to taking feedback. Last, stay agile and plan for the future, and stay in touch with industry experts, webinars, conferences, so that you know what's happening around, so that you're not obsolete quickly.
That's great. That's great. Todd, how do you see new COE formation, the customers who are starting new journey towards like automation program? How do you see them growing and building their automation program today?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can improve on what Devika said. I think those are the keys to success. I think recognize that running that program successfully, you're really a custodian of business change, right? And business assistance.
Yep.
I think, being able to just get the organization to understand that your path to solving challenges that they've had to struggle with for a long time is something that will immediately drive you to scale. And I think being able to prove that is important. There's an interesting thing we notice, which is even when you're very successful within an organization with your automation program, unless you've done an automation for a particular group or for somebody sitting right next to them, there's a certain organizational cynicism. They don't necessarily believe that you can help them to the extent that you certainly can. And I think it's important to be able to create visibility there, and to be able to back it up. To some of Patrick's comments about metrics, right? I think there's an old adage that I'm not sure applies to technology. It's more for carpentry, but it's measure twice, cut once. I think if you can measure what you do and its impact and share that and make that visible, it's going to simplify your path as you scale. But really, I think the things that Devika outlined are the keys to success. You do those things, you're going to be successful.
No, that's fantastic suggestions and guidelines for anyone who is starting their automation programs. And obviously, we as a UiPath team do try to provide those guidelines, but speaking from the customer point of view is most critical, and how they are looking at the automation journey and how do they get started. I'll be a little bit sneaky. We have 2 more minutes. I'll just add one more question so our audience can enlighten on how we go about that. So maybe Devika, you can answer this because you work closest to the business today. Mm-hmm. How do you ensure that your automation solutions aligns with your overall business objectives? Basically, you have that access to the C-level, kind of you talk to the business. Can you talk a little bit about your solutions tying back to the business?
Yeah. So a couple of things that I personally do is, constant one-on-ones with the business leaders to make them understand that there's RPA, and also, trying to understand from a leadership that where the business is going, where there are needs. When I work internally, I also try to understand what their pipeline looks like, and where, it could be that they are decommissioning a tool and they need, a solution in between, or there is an end-to-end solution, but there are few things that the systems cannot do and bring RPA in. Those kind of conversations I like to have and set, quarterly goals and tie them to the OKRs. That's one thing that is very important from my perspective. Second is constant, running around and teaching people about citizen development, promoting it, making sure that individuals understand, because there could be like little small automations that individuals can get benefited from. You don't need to always have large scale automations in place, and they are not fully dependent on the RPA team. So that really helps meet some of the business goals as well. We also focus a lot on agile. We want to orient ourselves that we are doing quick deliveries and short deliveries, rather than looking at a full waterfall model and in the end getting feedback and then we're like, oh, it's 50% wrong, now go back all over again. So quick incremental deliverables, and that has made us very flexible in the changing needs of business.
That's fantastic. And I think ultimately business drive the automation program. We want to make sure that they are getting the value on that investment they are making. So I think it's very, very critical to consistently align with them, make sure that their goal is automation program's goal, and kind of how do we actually contribute to our top and bottom line margin within the company that we serve. So that's fantastic.
Fantastic. And all three of the things Devika mentioned, I think are really focused on being rapidly responsive to the business, right? And not being hasty, but being incredibly efficient, incredibly responsive in a way that other types of approaches to solve business problems simply aren't. Right? By being able to effectively engage with the business and identify areas or maybe you do an ephemeral solution, something that is only around for an interim period, as a stopgap between things, but it has huge business impact by being able to do it. Or being able to really never say no to a good idea, right? Regardless of what that ROI is going to be. If you have the ability to say, hey, that's a great idea, but it's only going to save you personally a couple hours a year, our team maybe can't get to that right away, but let's talk to you about getting involved in the citizen developer program. I think that's key. And then, just using Agile and realizing that anytime you save time, you win. In going to some of the things that Shobit was talking about too. I think each one of those things is about being a really high performing, really efficient team. And the business sees that. They see that you become the path to solving their problems in a way that it hasn't historically been done in most organizations. And I think that's huge, right? That's as aligned to the business as you could possibly be.
No, very well said, Todd. I think it's fantastic. And I think we had a fantastic panel. So just to showcase every aspect of what an automation program is, how it should run, and how do you engage with the business. So it's great to have you all on this Fireside chat. So I think we have 12 more minutes. We would like to jump back onto the questions. Jay, do you want to take some questions? There are some questions both on chat as well as in Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like we have some chat and Q&A questions, but everyone in the audience, feel free to add in any more questions. I'll start with the first question here. What is your approach to dealing with external websites that change periodically with no warning, thus breaking the bots? So I'll open it up to anyone who wants to answer that.
I think Shobit can answer this question because we have seen this happening on our side. So I think, Shobit, you should answer this question. You're very close to it.
Definitely. I mean, it's very annoying when you have put in a lot of efforts in developing an automation and it suddenly breaks in the production, right? And it happens constantly in a few months and everything. So one thing that have helped us is there are a lot of different activities within UiPath that you can use to identify different scenarios that can happen at the same time. So first, work on your development piece. Second, we are working very closely with our internal team members who are actually the application owners, because whenever there is a change in a system, right, so they do receive periodical information about what change is going to happen. So we keep our stakeholders informed that do let us know in advance if you see that there is an application change that is going to happen. Accordingly, we also plan and inform our end users for whom we have built that automation that there is going to be a change, there is going to be a downtime, but we are here to fix it. We'll do a quick fix and deploy it again so that you can observe business continuity. And again, it's like the tool that we have, UiPath, it has amazing capabilities. You can do a lot of things with it. There are multiple activities available to ensure that it can handle multiple scenarios. You can use fuzzy selector, you can use image recognition, you can use CV. So there are a lot of things that you can use at the same time to ensure that if one of the targeting method fails, there are others which can work at that time. So this is how we have worked and made sure that we can reduce this dependency if there is a change in the application.
And one thing I would also like to add here is that we keep a continuous, pulse check with teams that when is upgrades happening, when are, those systematic updates happening. We have also reached out to UiPath that please share your release notes with us prior so that we know what's coming up from UiPath side. This has really helped to bridge the gap so that we exactly know that, okay, there are so many automations where the impact could be from UiPath side or from the system that, we have touched to build some automations. So it is also very important that we keep that pulse check. It's not always like, be reactive to the approach. We sometimes have to be very pragmatic in picking our approach.
Yeah, if you can be proactive about it, if you can identify the change before it happens, and most people do, certainly with SaaS applications, they have SaaS administrators. I think coordinating with them, making sure that you receive notification of upcoming changes, making sure the business knows that if they see a change in something they use regularly, that's a production change now that there's an automation running against it, allows you to solve those things even before they get rolled out in a way where it's pretty seamless. And this team does a great job of that. To Shobit's point too, UiPath in particular is great at being able to, through coding best practices and the capabilities within the platform, to handle a lot of dynamic change on web pages that some other approaches can't, right? We have one client who just switched to UiPath in particular for web testing because they were having lots of challenges with Selenium and having to modify it all the time. But I think even more importantly, you should also look for the opportunities not to use web pages. We see a ton, and nowadays it's very rare actually that most SaaS applications don't have APIs, or they can't be leveraged with UiPath's integration services, or things that simply are more resilient because they change less, right? And I think what we find very clearly is if you do those things, if you proactively engage with the administrators or the application owners and you try and get advanced notification, if you have the ability through your coding practices to not just dynamically handle a lot of different use cases, but catch when there's a challenge. And I mean, sometimes when I see automations break because of web changes, it's really more a challenge with just not doing the try catch error handling stuff that you should be doing with those web pages. And then finally, being able to take advantage of API or sometimes maybe elements instead of GUI elements. There's various coding techniques to do it. And we're also seeing great luck with starting to apply Gen AI to parsing web content as well. So I think it's not a unique challenge, but it's one that you can be pretty well served in addressing through what's available with UiPath today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great information. We have a couple more questions come through. The next one is someone in the audience has resistance from their IT group. How have you dealt with this in your organization?
Patrick, would you like to take that?
I can take that one. It's kind of tying back into the metrics. we found that internally the best way to get IT to budge on stuff was getting buy-in from senior leadership. And then from that senior leadership, basically the business objectives drives everything we do, right? So at the end of the day, IT can't block the business objectives. That's the argument that was made. So by making a case for our program, showing those metrics, showing how much time the automations were saving, and then showing that to leadership, it came down from them that no, you need to make exceptions. And we faced roadblocks with some systems where we've had to get around two-factor authentication for some accounts and whatnot. And I get the pushback. I get the push. IT is there, make sure that everything is secure. And we work with them. We want to establish a good relationship with them. Despite this resistance, we don't want to constantly be in battle with them. One thing we also found was super effective in this, beyond just going to leadership and kind of jumping over them to get buy-in, was also doing a roadshow with IT to kind of help show, hey, this is what it actually is. And they have a lot of good questions when we do that, because they're technical people. They're going to ask a lot more technical questions, which kind of made for a fun roadshow in a way, as we usually don't really get to dig into the technical aspects of the tool. But yeah, showing IT what the tool actually is and how it works did wonders for us as well as building out a good relationship. In fact, we even now have automations running in IT as they found the tool a great use case for maybe doing some testing, as well as getting some compliance elements out as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and I'd also add that working on building a relationship with security. It is also very important that you do annual reviews with security, what we are doing, where we are expanding, what new is coming up, so that they can tell you that, okay, this is the area where you need to tighten the gear. This is the area where you're doing well. And when we had built all those controls in place, we found that it has become more seamless to have questions answered with IT. It just becomes seamless.
Yeah, you want IT and security support for your program, not just a project, right? And the work you guys have done foundationally to define the security environment, the technical environment that you're going to be deploying in, how you're going to access, to answer ahead of time questions and concerns that are quite legitimate, as you mentioned, Patrick, save so much time down the road. And if you can find a way to partner with IT, as Patrick was alluding to, they become one of the biggest consumers of automation out there, which is interesting. For most business groups, you're automating something for the first time that was really a manual process. For IT, a lot of the automations that are done are automating elements that they've already automated, and you're maybe doing exception handling for things their automation doesn't catch, or you're doing reporting on it, or you're coordinating across something they did here in Ansible and here with scripting. And that capability, and again, the speed with which it can be leveraged, is something that once IT organizations understand it, they're usually anxious to adopt as well.
Awesome. So we have about 2 minutes left. I'm seeing a few more questions come in. We'll see how much more we can fit in. Here's a quick one for Shobi. Can you share your document template, including STDs and PDDs? Not sure what the answer is.
I'll answer. The answer is no. Those are internal documents. That said, UiPath has some good standard templates that can be a good foundation for that.
Absolutely.
And even we have used UiPath provided templates as a base for our documents. So we have customized it for our own needs. So you can do the same as well.
And UiPath can always share the documents. So I think we can always share that with you. And if you need some additional guidance, you can always reach out to us. How do you customize towards your needs? So we'd love to share that.
Awesome. So there's a couple more questions in the chat, but I know we're right at time. So like I said, we will send a copy of this recording out to everyone on this call as well as anyone who has registered for this call. So those additional questions we will attach in that email to make sure everyone who asked a question gets their questions answered.
Awesome. Once again, I want to thank you, MongoDB team and Ladonia, for joining this panel. I think it was a fantastic session for each and every one within any of the customers automation team, be it developer, be it BA, be it COAD. For everyone, there was something to learn, and they will take back with certain things that they would like to implement in an automation journey and automation program. But I think with customers like you, UiPath has been quite successful in terms of supporting you guys and making sure that your journey is successful. But I think this is a great session, which allows our customers who are up and coming to learn about how other customers and their peers are doing in the industry. So thank you so much for joining. We'll share the recording. We'll answer all the questions once we get to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.